Welcome. We're live again on a Thursday with me, Phil Morse, here in the Digital DJ Tips studios, where, as we like to do once a week, or at least whenever we can on a Thursday, we throw open the doors to our DJ school and we open up for questions from you, wherever you are and whatever you're stuck on in your DJing. So it could be something about the DJ gear, it could be the geeky stuff. We've got the Traktor S4 Mark III just by random chance on the desk at the moment, but we've also got, as always, set up in the studio pro gear and turntables and all kinds of things. So you could have an issue with your gear, and that of course includes software and all the technical geeky stuff. Could be something about your music. You could be struggling with kind of making the switch from old school music to using digital files. You could be struggling organizing or preparing your music, or you could have questions about file formats and things like that. Whatever it is about the music, again, we're here to help. It could be about mixing. Again, there's lots of questions that our students tend to have around mixing. What mixing is important? Are effects important? How do you master beat mixing? How do you deal with delays in speakers? All that kind of thing. Of course, it could be performing. How do you do it in front of an audience? And you could be interested in one of the many directions you can take your DJing in once you've mastered those basics. Could be anything from live streaming to DJ mixes and sharing your performances online, even starting your own DJ business. If you're a regular around here, you'll recognize, of course, that what I've just shared is the 5 steps of DJing as covered in our Amazon best-selling book on DJing, Rock the Dance Floor. Gear, music, mixing, performing, and taking it further, next steps. But you don't need to get the book, although you can, I'd love you to. You certainly don't need to buy our complete DJ course, which is the course that has helped many tens of thousands of DJs to start DJing. Although if you are interested in that, you can head over to the Digital DJ Tips website and you'll find lots of details about that course there. Because I'm here today to help you absolutely for free with any of this stuff. So please do ask away. We're live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitch. Let's do it then. Let's throw open the virtual floor to you guys and see what you got to say. I'm heading in, again, those of you that know us will know exactly how this works. We have a chat thing open here with all your comments coming in live right to my desktop, so I get to see everything that you're asking and saying, and I can help accordingly. Hello to Kesha, to Cat's Grooves and Commander Pixel, who says, I'm here live finally. And hello to everyone else tuning in over on YouTube. We've got Tesno Pesno on Twitch, hello. Also Rabite on Twitch. And on Facebook, hi to Mike, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday, Mike. And also hello to Javaman Sanchez, who's down there on Facebook as well. I can see you all coming in and I can see your questions coming in live here, and I'm going to start answering them immediately. The first question I have today is from Peace Panther Productions, who is on YouTube. Hello, Peace Panther Productions, who says, I don't know where to start with gear setup. I want to use a Pioneer console with maybe Recordbox or Serato, but do I need a high-powered laptop? Can I use my MacBook Air? I want to use stems. Okay, so this is a classic question, of course. You kind of know what you want, but you're not sure about the software to use. You're not sure exactly whether your laptop's going to be able to do it. So the good news is if your MacBook Air is a modern MacBook Air, in other words, it's got an M processor, so it's not an old Intel one, then it will run stems fine. If stems is important to you, you're better off using Serato than you are using Recordbox, because Recordbox stems are not good at the time of broadcasting anyway. And so until they update them, you're probably better off with Serato. So the Pioneer consoles, as you call them, or controllers, will work usually with both pieces of software. So for instance, if you go for a Flex 10, that will work with both pieces of software. So you can use stems either way. The problem with Serato is that it is expensive, because Serato is a piece of software that if you want all the add-ons, you have to spend an awful lot of money to get them all, unless you bought an expensive controller in the first place, which unlocks everything, well, unlocks the stuff that you need, really. So be careful with Serato. Just make sure you factor in the cost of it. Of course, if you're happy with a subscription, you can subscribe for whatever it costs, and that's fine, but a lot of people do like to buy their software. Recordbox is a lot more generous. Recordbox, again, is subscription only actually, but the version that is unlocked when you plug in a Recordbox controller is very generous. It has pretty much everything that you're going to need, to be quite frank. So there's no pressing need to update to a paid for version of that software really. but their stems aren't particularly good. So without knowing further what your budget is and so on, I can't advise you really exactly which gear to go for there, but I would say that you don't need to worry about your computer. So there's one piece of good news there. Peace Panther Productions is in the chat on YouTube. So if you're one of our YouTube students there today, then please feel free to jump in there and help Peace Panther Productions out. Thank you very much for getting us going there. Good question. So a few of you are having those kind of autumn or fall blues. So well, anyway, September will be over soon, Kesha. So hold on in there. Although honestly, I don't think it gets much better, does it? Not until a little while into the future. You know, I always think Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that period is there to kind of put off the inevitability of winter. Down here in the Mediterranean, it's beautiful weather generally, but January, February, March, or even February, March, April, they're the months to try and avoid, really, if you at all can. Anyway, I digress. Let's go to another live question. This is from Jay Crucial, who is on YouTube again. Phil, I'm fed up of playing commercial gigs. I want to play more specialist, as in rave house, but the market seems saturated. I'll be honest and sorry to be negative, but it's really getting me down. So you want to play the music you love and you don't want to have to go out there and make money playing commercial gigs, Jay. So a couple of things here. And I know where you're coming from. I feel your pain. I'm sure a lot of people watching this are in this game not because they want to make money from it or because they want to play the music that other people like. You're in it for the music you like, right? And in Jay's case, it's rave house. You want to play rave house. So it's an interesting angle to come from that I'm about to come from, and actually it's based on a Instagram video that I watched quite randomly. I was clearing, I've got a like in our company what would you call it, well, team chat, in our company team kind of chat thing. We've got a don't forget where you can just click on anything anyone says or shares and they all pile up, and the idea is, oh, I'll get to those later. Well, mine's about this long, right? So this morning I was thinking I'm going to go through some of these don't forgets, and one of them was an Instagram video that someone in the company had shared with me and said this is quite interesting because of the approach to a few things really. And I watched it and it was basically some guy saying DJing has gone from being playing music to creating experiences, and it was sharing things like Fred again playing a rooftop party and showing DJs playing in parks and at swimming pools, and you know, saying, and a lot of this stuff is filmed like boiler room style and put on the internet as well. So they're creating, the DJs are kind of in charge of everything. The people who are stood around them, how it's filmed, where they are, what music they play, how many people are there, what gear they're using. And they have a vibe, they have a party, and then the whole thing goes online. And that's kind of where it takes off, and that's where it gets its traction. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because that couldn't have happened a while ago. Is that good or not? Well, it's there. It's part of how DJing is done today. And while Jay is a little bit negative and feeling down at playing commercial gigs there, and I feel the kind of undercurrent of what Jay is saying in that comment is, I want it to go back to where you could just go to a club and play the music you loved and everyone had a great time. I'm starting to feel like those days are kind of gone for a lot of people anyway. But there is a kind of way out, and this Instagram video was showing that way. How about this, Jay? How about you put on very small scale events? You get your friends, you get people who are into what you like. You set it up somewhere little, a small bar, somewhere outdoors, a pool party, or somewhere where you can have a vibe for a few hours, and you film the whole thing, and you go and edit it, and you share it on your YouTube channel, and then you do it again and again and again. And you start to build a little community of people that are into what you're into, and you interact with them, and you do stuff based upon what they like and what they suggest to you. And you build a little vibe around something which happens in real life but is boosted online. It's an interesting approach, and it's a very modern approach. You know, a lot of ambitious DJs now, they have themselves a videographer and a social media person. This little crux, if you like, this little core of 3 people, and I'm talking people making, you know, millions at doing this. So you can do all those things yourself. That's what I'm saying. So Jay, maybe there's kind of like a little cottage industry way out of this for yourself. I also know a lot of DJs who have the 2 sides of their personality right down the middle, right? So I'm thinking of a DJ who I've known for a long time now, who is a commercial DJ, plays commercial gigs, but also has another side of themselves that plays funk and soul and R&B. And they're for hire in both of those areas, but they're just chase gigs in both areas. Some of them pay more than others. They get more gigs in commercial than they're doing funk R&B and soul, but at least it's there, and at least the gigs are coming in for this kind of alter ego second DJ for hire version of themselves. Could be another way of thinking about it. Just try and set up as a DJ that does the odd gig playing what you really love, and put a bit of time into marketing it and chasing that. And again, it could fit into what I just said. I think it's a case of being realistic about where things are now. And of course, I don't know in the world where you are, Jay. Being realistic about how things are now, but also not losing that idealism, not losing that reason that you're in this in the first place, right? Thank you very much for the comment. Again, Jay's on our YouTube channel, so if you are a DJ that's struggled with having to play commercial music and wondering about whether you can ever play just what you like, then go chat with Jay there. It would be great to see a bit of chat going on there around that. A few of you saying, yeah, MacBook Air is fine for your stems, and again, it is, as long as it's one of the newer ones. It isn't Intel. That's important. What's changed in Engine 4.1, says Alan. We will get around to looking at that as soon as we can, Alan. But at the moment, I'm not going to start blathering about that because I haven't had a chance to have a good look at it at the moment. Jay says, be careful as there is an old M variant of Intel that Apple used, so be careful on eBay. Yeah, a modern MacBook Air is definitely the way forward. Can you recommend a mixer for my Numark Mix Pro Plus? I'm finding the 4 effects are very limiting, and I wish not to add effects via Ableton in post, says Danielle. So you've got I'm guessing you've got a mix stream, I'm guessing. But you don't like the effects on it. You're finding them quite limiting. And you want to add effects afterwards, but you want to do it live when you're DJing. You don't want to do it afterwards by dragging it into a DAW. And yeah, I get where you're coming from. And do you know what? No, not really. You know, if you plug through something like this, of course, you're going to get, if you plug any DJ controller into a spare channel on a mixer like this, you're going to get all the Pioneer Pro effects, which is a very expensive way of adding them. I'm going to push back and say if it was me, I'd just use either what was on the gear that I'd bought, or I would add them afterwards if I was really that bothered about it. I don't really know, because you'd be spending more money on the mixer to process and add effects afterwards than you would be spending on the, that you spent on your console in the first place. It might just be a case of selling what you've got and buying something with some better effects on it. Danielle is on Facebook, so if you've got a better answer to Danielle then head over there and help her out, please, Facebook community who are tuned in here today. Right, so my controller has died on me, says Kino, after 7 years of hard service. Rest in peace, controller. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, Kino, but hey, you can buy another one. You're very welcome, Peace Panther, and thank you for being so polite and thanking me for helping. Does anyone know if Pioneer DJ stroke Alpha Theta, I think we're going to be calling them Alpha Theta. It's a bit like Twitter and X, isn't it? Everyone was like X, formerly Twitter, and then it just kind of like Twitter faded. We're going to be dropping the Pioneer DJ soon enough. Anyway, does anyone know about the new upcoming Pioneer DJ stroke Alpha Theta effects unit? Something like the RMX 1000. No, not heard a single thing about a replacement effects unit for that. If we do, we'll let you know there, Marcel. If anyone does, please let us know in the comments. So this is from Mac21 Music on Twitch. Mac21 Music says, I'm thinking of switching to a modular DJ setup. And for those that don't know what this means, it means small pieces of DJ gear that have various functions that they can fulfill for you, like these here. This is a tractor control F1 and a tractor control Z1 that I have here. So you plug together whatever you need. You could plug together this and this, or you could get, they've got one called an X1, which is kind of a bit more like the Mixtour unit, which has just come out, designed by our very own Laidback Luke, our tutor. So these are modular DJ gear, right? You might add sound cards to them, etc., etc. You kind of build your own DJ setup based upon what you want, rather than going for something like this, which of course is an all-in-one system. Get my laptop out of the way there, where everything's together and you don't have quite as much flexibility over how it is. So modular systems are quite popular. So that's what we mean. When someone says modular, that's what they mean. It's something they built up themselves. So the question from Mac21 Music, again on Twitch, hi Twitch family, says, I'm thinking of building a modular setup, besides the Denon LC6000, which rumour has it is discontinued, by the way. I've got one down here. This is an LC6000. It's rather a nice deck. That is a software deck. It's a control deck. It hasn't got any audio outputs or anything. You just plug it in via USB and use it as a deck to control your software. So that's what this is. You know, it's another example of a modular piece of gear, because on its own it can't do anything really. You need to pair it with other things. So besides the LC6000, which is mega expensive, look out for them on eBay and around the place, because if what I hear is right, you might be picking them up a bit cheaper soon. Do you know of any other decent single jogwheel controllers that are still available? I know Behringer made the CMD series ages ago, but those aren't available anymore. I like the Allen & Heath K2, but it doesn't have jogwheels. Same story with the X1. Any ideas? So no, there's not any that are currently available. There used to be one called a V7. I'm just going to put that away, because if I don't put things away, then they don't get put away. And I come into the studio tomorrow and it's as much of a mess as it was. Either that I get told off. Like you left the studio in a right mess, and we had to tidy it up before we could do any work. So I just like to put things away straight away. So any single jogwheel controllers? Well, let's be a little bit flippant here. These are single jogwheel controllers. A lot of DJs will just simply pair some decks with something like phase, wireless, DVS, or perhaps just the old-fashioned way with timecode and a mixer that can handle it and control decks that way. And between them, this and the LC6000 from Denon, which, as I say, I'm getting rumours has been discontinued. So between them, I think they've probably got the current market stitched up. Like I say, there was something called a V7 from Newmark, which was, you know, it's Newmark, right? It's a cheap brand, but actually it was a very nice little controller. Or was it Denon? I think Newmark and Denon both have one, which were quite similar. They were quite small. And DJ Tech also have one. So these are probably still out there. You can probably find them quite cheap on eBay. But I don't know. I just think this is something that if you're not happy DJing without jog wheels, then you're going to be looking at either getting a normal controller or going for adding record decks, or of course something like the Rain. Full-size Rain 12 turntable controllers, but they're really expensive. You know, if you find that the LC6000 is expensive, then they're really expensive. So yeah, I think that's your choices really. There isn't a mini version of any of that stuff around anymore, or a cheaper version, unfortunately. Right, Tesno Pesno is also waiting for spring to spring. Already bored of the winter, and well, good luck, because we're only just starting. And apologies to everyone watching us in the southern hemisphere in the middle of the night right now, where it's just starting to warm up again. Lucky you. So this is from DJ Rally, who's also on Twitch, who says, in Serato, the beat grids are not always lined up correctly. How do I fix this? So the beat grids, which if you're not used to this stuff, if you're new to DJing and not sure what we're talking about, they're the lines that are put over the music on the waveforms in your DJ software that show you where the beats are and where the beginning of each bar of music is, where the beginning of each 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They mark the ones, and then they also mark the 2, 3, 4s. So you can see how the song is structured, but more importantly, when you use effects or the sync button and so on, everything stays in time. So beat grids are quite important, and the software doesn't always get them right. The software that gets it right most of the time, better than anyone else, is Algorithm's DJ Pro, because it has something called fluid beat grids. At least it does on the Apple platforms. And that's an extremely nice system that, as I say, gets it right nearly all the time. All the DJ software out there nowadays has got a way of altering them if the software has guessed wrong. So usually what happens is the track will have a slightly altering tempo because it was originally on a piece of vinyl and someone ripped it, or it was a disco song with a real drummer. Even though it's meant to be the same tempo throughout, it drifts ever so slightly. And so some software will have a go at getting that right. Sometimes it does, but often it doesn't. And so there's a way of going through the songs and saying, no, this one's a little bit out, it should be there. Then you move on a bit further in the song, this one's a little bit out, it should be there, and so on. And that way you can correct it, albeit it does take a bit of time, and there's definitely a knack. It's an art as much as a science. However, we've actually got some help for you over on Digital DJ Tips. So if you head to the Digital DJ Tips website and click the little magnifying glass in the top corner and you tick beat gridding. I think beat gridding or beat grid will get this article up. I'm just scanning what's popped up here. And actually, it looks like we're going to need to do another search there. It's a lot of fun searching on this site, by the way, because you can find all kinds of articles that you weren't looking for in the first place. I'm going to search for funk because I think we called out funk music on this particular. Here we go. How to beat grid disco, funk, rock, and soul music. Free course for every reader. If you're struggling with your beat grids, just head to our site and click funk, scroll down, and you'll see that we've got a free series here, which is me on video showing you how to do this on all the major software platforms. So go take a look at that. As I say, it's free and it's video training, and hey, why not? It's there. And that'll help you. That'll help you get your head around beat grids. So thanks for that. If you've just joined us, Phil, here in the Digital DJ Tips studio. Let's take a little break from your questions now to just have a little look at what's going on in the DJ world. Again, your friend when it comes to the DJ world is the Digital DJ Tips website, because we are the #1 source online for DJ news. Just click DJ news at the top and you'll find everything that's new. So the latest news in the world of DJing, we've got a new update to Lexicon, which is a music library tool that will let you carry your library around in your pocket now with their new mobile app. Import your library from any DJ software, work on it, and export it to any DJ software. It's quite a cool tool, and it's now available on your mobile, which is pretty cool. What else is new in the world? Union Audio have released some new rotary mixers, and these are pretty cool if you're into the old school way of doing things. They're a lot cheaper than their previous mixers, and they figure that some people are going to want digital effects alongside analog mixing. So there's variants of both of their new mixers, both the 2 and the 4 channel versions, that give you digital effects as well. So we've covered that over on the site, and you can go and take a peek at that over there as well. We've also recently reviewed a couple of items. The Nearstream VM33 camera. This is a 1-button way of going live, let down by poor audio quality, but hey, it's simple. If you're just looking for a simple way of live streaming, this could be for you. And we've just literally today published our review of these, the IK Multimedia iLoud micro monitors, a very popular monitor. And they've got a version 2, which has got a microphone in the box that lets you tune them to any room. So the idea is you plug the microphone into the back there and you can listen to the music in the room that you happen to be in, and it'll alter what the speakers sound like to kind of deal with echoes and reverbs and unwanted frequency boosts and so on. And so they're pretty cool, and albeit not the cheapest thing in the world, about $560 for a pair. But we're very impressed with those. I mean, we love the originals. So if you want to see a review of that, head over to the Digital DJ Tips website. And that's you up to date with the DJ news. I can tell you there's an awful lot coming in the DJ world in the next month. The manufacturers are keeping us busy with their press releases and their NDAs. And NDA is do not disclose, a non-disclosure agreement. We're not allowed to say anything about this stuff until it drops publicly. But just take it from me, it's a busy season. It always is before Christmas. They try and get their new products out there in time for the big festive spend. So keep an eye on the website for all that stuff. Meanwhile, though, I'm going to get back to you guys. This is really about you. And let's get your comments and questions for the next, I don't know, we've got another 10, 20 minutes left here before I've got a skedaddle. This is from JD Reed on Facebook. He says, I'm assuming it's a he. I'm wanting to begin DJing, and I want to start at home. And I enjoy doing small gigs. What's the best beginner setup that I would need? Thank you. So I'll give you the advice that we always give new DJs. And this is not because I particularly have any, what's the word I'm looking for? Major kind of like love for this piece of gear, but it's just a good start. It's the Flex 4 from Alpha Theta, previously Pioneer DJ. The Flex 4 is a very good basic controller. It comes from a decent lineage. The one before it, the DDJ 400, was also extremely popular. The Flex 4 is good because it's got a very basic and very standard layout. So whether you're coming to this from having once used turntables or CDs, or you're coming to it completely new, and whether you just want to use gear at home for your own benefit and that's the end of your DJing involvement, or you want to slowly move up to use pro gear like this, the DDJ Flex 4 is a good start because the layout is extremely common. You've got the channels, you've got the effects down the side here, you've got the buttons down here, and you've got the way the looping works and the cues and stuff is exactly the same as it works on Pro DJ gear. So if you learn to use this, you're going to be pretty well versed in how DJ gear generally works, right? So this is a very average, down the middle, typical DJ controller that you simply cannot go wrong with. It works with their own software, of course. Rekordbox also works with Serato, though you have to buy the software. Also works with Virtual DJ, again, you have to buy the software. Works with DJ Pro, you have to subscribe to the software. The point is it works with pretty much everything, even works with their iPhone and iPad app. So overall then, the Flex 4 is a great starting point. Even if you've got higher ambitions, I still think something like this is a good starting point. And the reason for that is that you don't know what you want to do next, right? You don't know what the second controller or the second DJ system might be for you. It might be a standalone system where you don't need a laptop. That, of course, needs a laptop. But it might not. You might be quite happy using a laptop. You might want something with motorized jog wheels. You might want something that's got more of a scratch layout, as in the kind of layout that a scratch DJ would prefer. Or you might want something which is basically a bigger version of that. You just don't know until you've owned it for a year or two. And so the good news there is that even when you are ready to upgrade to something, I mean, they're like $300, including the basic software. Even when you are ready to upgrade to something that will cost you a 4-figure sum and not a 3-figure sum, you're going to want to keep that because it's a great backup, and no pro DJ ever goes out there without a backup system. So it's a good backup to have, and also to take to smaller gigs where you don't want to hike your big expensive gear with you, etc, etc, etc. So you can't really go wrong buying something small like that. And of course, if God forbid you decide DJing is not for you, you can sell it and you won't have lost too much money on your purchase. So the Flex 4 from Pioneer DJ would be my one-sentence answer to getting started, as long as you've got a laptop, of course. If not, if you really don't want to use a laptop, then I do like the Numark Mix Stream Pro, which I'm looking at. It's just over there, but I'm not going to run and get it. The Numark Mix Stream Pro is a very good value all-in-one system, i.e. no laptop required, right? So you still need a laptop for the best practice use of that, but only to prepare music, not actually with you when you're playing. Okay, so Paul says, this is bullshit I disagree with. So it's full of poses and camera phones, says Paul. I think what you're talking about is when I was saying that one of the ways that people DJ playing the music that they love nowadays is by putting on very small scale parties and trying to get some attention to themselves by filming them and sharing it online. You're allowed to disagree, Paul. Being rude is optional around here, but thank you very much for sharing your thoughts there. So you don't like my music, says DJs used to play in our neighborhood park on the weekend, but they abused it by playing too late and the city cut the power. Yeah, this stuff happens, doesn't it? We ruin what's good sometimes, unfortunately. The Electric Vibes on YouTube says, I play what I like on TikTok and my following is slowly growing. So good to hear about that. Jay says, Phil, you're a legend. You've given me a really good idea. So that's who this was all aimed at in the first place. So unlike Paul, Jay, you are not getting angry. You're getting active. And I love that. That's the way to go. Stay positive. So DJ Mechanicom says, much of the DJ scene has shifted to dancing, pretending to be mixing, twiddling a few knobs and playing pre-recorded sets. That is based upon disillusion, because no, it hasn't. Just because some people are doing all the worst things in DJing, don't think that that's not always happened. I've DJed ever since about 1986 and I've seen it all. I've seen DJs putting tapes on, I've seen DJs playing mega mixes, we're going back 40 years here. Don't think any of this stuff is new. DJs or so-called DJs will always take shortcuts. They always have. There's always been exceedingly low quality DJing out there, and there's always been people ripping people off and not putting their passion into it. At the same time, there's an awful lot of great DJs, and there's an awful lot of DJs into it for the right reasons. Today, just like there always has been. Go and look for it, and if you're not happy with it, do it yourself. That's my advice, right? So Michael says, what do you think about buying compilation CDs to fill up your hard drive? And what's the best bitrate to copy the CDs? Thank you. Good question, Michael, over on Facebook. If you're a new DJ and you're building your collection, especially if you're a mobile DJ, a wedding DJ, an event DJ, a corporate DJ, someone who's playing mainstream gigs where your currency is nostalgia. We all know that at that kind of gig, the amount of new music played is minuscule, and even when you look at the gigs themselves and the amount of new music played, it's not really new. It's music from the last year or two, right? That kind of gig is very conservative with a small c. And so you need to have the best of every decade of pop music, really from the 50s up until now. How do you get that as a new DJ? And one of the ways of getting it, Michael has completely correctly identified, which is buying compilation CDs. They're extremely good value. If you go onto YouTube or discogs.com, Discogs is a place to trade in records and CDs worldwide, an extremely good resource. If you go to any of these places, you can often pick up compilation CDs of music from all of these decades, all of these times, all of these years, all of these genres that have been big over the years for sometimes pennies, but certainly not very much money. So you might end up spending just a few dollars or pounds or euros and getting yourself 100, 200 tunes on some CDs, like, you know, the best of the 80s, or, you know, now that's what I call music, or the hit CD or whatever. There's two things to look out for here. Well, there's one trap and there's one error. The error is make sure you buy the unmixed versions of CDs. My colleague Steve Canuetto was responsible for doing the million-selling Ministry of Sound compilation CDs from the 90s, and they were always mixed. So they're no good to you, because if you start ripping mixed CDs and trying to play the tracks are going to have other tracks mixing in and out and so on, and you won't get the whole song. So make sure you're buying unmixed versions, and this kicks in really with dance music. But also, there's you're kind of pointing to the second pitfall in what you say, Michael. What do you think about buying compilation CDs to fill up your hard drive? Let's say you've got a terabyte hard drive. You've got no right at all to be filling that up with as much stuff because you just are buying it cheap on CDs. That is the absolute wrong way for a DJ to build their collection. Every song that you add to your collection should be carefully thought about, listened to all the way through, properly catalogued, and then put into that collection as if you just bought it on its own, standalone, in an old-fashioned record store, right? And got it home, really proud of it, and added it to your collection. Throwing in CD after CD, album after album, download after download of music in a way that a record collector might do is absolutely the wrong way to build a DJ music collection. There's no point having music that you don't know and you haven't thought about and that you haven't spent the time to prepare and listen to and practice mixing with. So yes, by all means, buy CDs, cheap, but only rip the songs that you really want to add to your collection. That's really important. On the practical side, what's the best bit rate to copy the CDs? That's down to you. If you've got unlimited hard drive space or a lot of hard drive space, I think it's probably best to use a lossless format like FLAC, F-L-A-C is a good one. And if not, then 320 MP3 is a good way of getting a version which 99 people out of 100 won't ever be able to tell the difference from the original. So either of those will do. Look, if you're archiving CDs, if you're archiving music to keep, then you can always downgrade it to a lower quality later, but you can't upgrade it from a lower quality later. So probably best to use a lossless format. And apart from that, good luck, Michael. You're onto something there. It's a great way to build a music collection when you're a new DJ. Just don't think more is more, because it isn't. Really, you should be building it slowly and mindfully. Okie dokie, people, we're going to do one or two more, then I got to get out of here. We've been really busy here in Digital DJ Tips Land this week, by the way, making a brand new free training series. So let me tell you about that now before we get on to our final two questions. So when we wrote the book and when we did the PR for the book, we realized there was a lot of older DJs who were getting back into DJing, and we tracked it back to lockdown. And we got a lot of interest when we were telling the mainstream media about this. We got a lot of interest from the mainstream media about older people taking up DJing. So we just kind of, like as a throwaway, asked our audience, hey, are you 40 and above and you're getting into DJing for the first time? Maybe you're returning to it. And we were overwhelmed by the response. And what we found is that there's a certain set of problems that are being experienced by DJs returning to DJing, having not done it for maybe decades. So the kids are leaving home or they're retiring or whatever. They've suddenly got a bit of time. Also DJs who are stuck on playing on maybe record decks or old-fashioned CDs with the slots in the front and have never moved on to playing on digital DJ gear. It kind of scares them. So they're stuck on the old way and they're thinking, you know what, I really ought to be becoming a digital DJ at some point. but also DJs who've never taken this up. Maybe you are a clubber, maybe you are going out at the heyday of clubbing before mobile phones and when everyone smoked on the dance floor and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you're nodding along if you're of a certain age, and you miss it and you want to get back into it. You've always wanted to do it. You've got a bit of time on your hands. You want to get into DJing. We figured that these people have got a certain set of worries and concerns and things that they need help with in order to kind of get past that initial, okay, I'm off, I'm doing this. And so we've produced a free training series. It's called Classic DJing on Modern Gear, Back to Basics. And it comes out next week. The first video drops on Monday, then there's one on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. They're going to be YouTube premieres, so keep an eye on our YouTube channel. It won't be going live anywhere else. We'll just be telling you about it on Facebook and so on. So come across to Digital DJ Tips YouTube. They'll be going live on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday next week. If you're not on our mailing list and you want to know the second they drop, because I can't tell you exactly when they're going to drop, so if you want to come and watch the premiere, you need to be on our mailing list in order to be told. Because we're going to be there and we're going to be answering your questions live. It's going to be a bit of an event. If you'd like to do that, just go to djtips.co/join, djtips.co/join, and we can email you and let you know exactly when that happens. Head over to the website if you want to do it this way and click join at the top and click on that box there. Pop your email address in. It's free to join Digital DJ Tips, and then I will personally let you know when this goes live. We're really excited about it. We've spent all week making this training. It's been a lot of fun. We've had some of the old vinyl out. We've been beat mixing here. We've been buying old tunes online and stuff to remind ourselves how to do it and stuff like that. So can't wait to bring that to you. That's coming up next week. After smoking was banned, says Tesno Pesno, all you could smell was vomit in the toilets. There's always a downside to health benefits, isn't there? But thank you very much for that. The Rocker says, my spot is secured and I'm in the front row. This is cool. Then I'm going to just let's just try and find some comments around maybe some of the stuff we've already been talking about. Every platform or software offers 24-bit processing, but the industry standard is 16-bit. Says, you don't like my music. We were talking about ripping CDs. I honestly don't think there's any need to worry too much about that stuff. Just use a lossless format and it's going to sound fine. Jay agrees. I miss smoking in clubs, says Jay. What have I started here? It covered up the smell of BO and cheesy feet and gone off beer. Oh, the glamour of clubbing, AJ. Right. Kangham says, I'm planning on getting a Flex 4, mainly because I want USB-C and an iPad, and I want a reliable solution, and I want to use DJ Pro. I will get the Rain Performer when algorithm supports iOS, unless something better comes along later on. Cool, well, there's a vote for Rain 4 there. Right, so let's just go grab a question that hasn't been answered yet, and maybe in a different area of DJing. This is from... Stevie B says, basically, what laptop should I use, Apple or Windows? So it's a good question to end on, because here in Digital DJ Tips land, we can say things like that, Apple or Windows, or we can say sync button or no sync button. And we don't get massive trolling flame wars and people deciding that they are arch enemies of each other. We just get reasoned, careful, thought about responses, which I think is great. And I'll tell you the truth about Apple versus Windows. Here is an Apple laptop. This is actually an M1 and MacBook Air, just like we've been talking about. And here is our XMG Windows laptop. They're both absolutely fine. Buy yourself a modern laptop with a mainstream modern processor in it. Make sure you've got a hard drive, which is solid state. Make sure you've got enough RAM, just double whatever it says the recommended RAM is for your software as a minimum. Make sure the screen is a size that you can read properly, and make sure the build quality feels solid, and you're going to be fine whether it's Windows or Mac. Of course, there are nuances. Of course, there's bits around the edge where it might be better to go for one than another. Most creative people seem to go for Macs. It doesn't mean they're better. If you want to use something that only runs on one or the other, well, then that's going to sway you. For instance, if you're a real fan of Algorithm's DJ Pro software, that always gets the best features first on the Apple platforms, because they are an Apple first manufacturer, but they always catch up with the Windows platforms in the end. Most DJ software works fine on both. Conversely, if you're into video editing, then you might find that the video platform you want is a Windows first platform, and that the Mac version doesn't exist or is an afterthought, etc., etc. But for me, the least of my worries if I was setting up now would be do I use a Windows or a Mac computer? I'm in a household where we all use iOS phones and stuff. My son is a gamer and he is not interested in having a Mac for his gaming. He's got a very powerful home-built PC, etc., etc. They're both extremely good for the money nowadays, and as long as you're careful with what you buy and make sure the build quality is there, you're going to be fine, is my answer there. Right, I'm going to leave it here, people, because we've had a long week and we've got more of it to come tomorrow to prepare for this Back to Basics Classic DJing on Modern Gear free training we've got coming next week. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone, wherever you're watching. Do come and join us for that. As I say, we're going to be running these as YouTube premieres, and we're all going to be here. The whole team's going to be there answering your questions and helping out in the comments. Dropping next week. Do join Digital DJ Tips if you're not already on our mailing list, so we can let you know the second that goes live. But for now, get good, get out there, make the moments, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.